Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. We're in part 2 of the Phantom Fungus entry in the Monster Manual 3.5. I just had some visitors wander into the garage and ask me what I was doing. But so here's my rough draft of the Phantom Fungus, and that's the actual reference art we're using. So, I didn't even look at the colors. So it looks like it's greenish brown. Yeah, it doesn't really say what color it is. Brown and green, yeah. Alright. So probably the wise thing to do would be to start with just painting the whole thing brown, because I want the base to be brown, maybe. Maybe it's losing cave, so it wouldn't be brown. I don't know. Oh, I lost a paintbrush. Oh, my spleen. Oh, I'm dying. Bleh. I had a big paintbrush cleaning yesterday. The great cleaning. We'll start with that guy. Wipe some water off my brush, and let's get in here and paint this thing up. If you can't get every single crack and crevice, since it's been base coated black, it'll probably be okay. I wouldn't panic too much, but I try to cover a lot of it. So what I think I'll do is work down in some browns with some dry brushes, and then come back in at the end and do some greens to kind of dress it up. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. You do yours how you want. I'm not a tutorial video. I'm giving some ideas of how you could do stuff. And if you use the techniques that we've used in all these different videos, likely you'll have ways of doing stuff, and you'll have more creative solutions to some of the problems I encounter, and maybe you'll have different parts where you can make a better version of the things I make. And that's important, that we have individual status as crafters, that we each do our own stuff, and that we each bring new techniques and methods to the table. These are all things that make our community interesting. Somebody might carve this out. I would have done this years ago. I used to carve soap a lot. I would have carved this out of soap probably 15 years ago. The problem is when you carve stuff out of soap, it becomes very brittle. And as beautiful and as detailed as you can make it, even if you let it dry really well and clear coat it, it doesn't have any staying power. And you can't really paint it. But I was in a period where I was doing a lot of soap carving. I even bought some wax bars to carve, but they were significantly harder to carve than soap, even though this is back when Yahoo Groups was big. There wasn't a lot of videos and stuff on the internet at the time, and maybe there were, and I just wasn't into it. I don't know. But I used to run a pretty good Star Wars terrain group on Facebook back when that mattered. And I made a tauntaun out of soap. And somebody was like, I showed a picture, oh, you should make it out of this wax. So I ordered the wax, because back then you just order stuff you called on a phone, or you went in the mail and you ordered it. You didn't do it like now. But it was a different time. What can I say? Okay. He's fairly dry. I'm going to get a bigger brush. Something soft. This is pretty soft. I think those kids are trying to come back in here and see what I'm up to again. I really wish they would not. Not that I don't like anybody or want anybody over here. It's just that when I'm recording, I don't edit, so when people come bother me, I shouldn't say bother, that's not nice. When people come talk to me or come to be interested in what's going on, it's disruptive to what I'm doing. And honestly, I don't let my kids just run outside. They're 6 and 8, and they're actually, my 8-year-old's older than most of those kids. I don't just let my kids run around willy-nilly. The world's a lot more dangerous than it was. I worked in some groups that I did counterterrorism, and I don't really want to get into that too heavily, but You would not believe how much child trafficking is a threat in this country. Well, in the world. Actually, in this country, it's not as bad as many places. But the fact that it's still scary here is a big thing. So I don't just let my kids run around willy-nilly. I suggest people don't post 1,000 pictures of their kids on Facebook and stuff, especially newborns. I wouldn't do that. 17-year-old girls and 15-year-old, 16-year-old girls that are starting to look more like women now and stuff, don't post your stuff everywhere, ladies. You guys are like a really high target right now. For some reason, you've become very, very high targets. And what they do is they actually go online and look for people that post tons of information, where they're going to be, what they're up to. And they use that information to target people. It's crazy. Social media has become a vessel for bad actors to do bad stuff. I'm not trying to scare everybody or preach. I just, it's true. Social media has become a major avenue to find victims for crime. And I'm sure it's not just, human trafficking or, things like that. I'm sure there's many other crimes that, at work we get these, I think they're called Ninja.io. They're, I don't know what, they're like cybersecurity videos. They're kind of weird. Like sometimes they have like Tia Carrere or John Lovitz or, people from, I can't think of that show, but just like, actors who kind of like are past their prime. Sometimes they have them on there as like guest stars doing the voices on these videos. It's kind of dumb, but yeah, they use cyber criminals use the same stuff. They use social media and stuff to find out what they can about you to try to manipulate you and get your information to use. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that as my base coats. I really wish this was a little more reddish, so I'm going to get an orange to do my last dry brush, just to make him a little more interesting. This is called Jack-o'-lantern. So, if I were to recommend some things to do to protect yourself and your family when you're traveling or in general, but traveling is very important that you protect yourselves, especially in the European countries where you feel like you're safe. Consider the fact that you might not be safe because it seems like these places that people are less concerned is where people become targets more often. When you travel, don't announce your plans online. Don't give your itinerary out. You can't carry weapons on airplanes. However, you can carry a 4-inch wooden dowel on an airplane, and a 4-inch wooden dowel is, a phenomenal weapon because you can use as a fist load. It can be used to hit someone in the eye socket, break their orbital socket easily. A 4-inch wooden dowel, just something that fits comfortably in your hand to give it a more rigid striking surface, and it's not considered a weapon. So you should think about this kind of stuff. Like, the world's getting more and more dangerous, and like nobody has the answer how to fix this. It's just kind of, it is what it is, and that's the world now. And it's shocking that no one has these solutions figured out. But they don't, and I don't think there's a solution, an easy solution in the near future, because we don't have a method we don't have the resources, I should say. We have methods. We just don't have the resources to fight all these bad things in the world. So this is just a regiment brush by Wargamer. Let me use my other one. This one's like old and beat up. I have several of these. Well, not several. 3 is not several. I have a few. So what I want to do is I want to get here and I want to catch those teeth. Kind of see where they're at. And then I also want to lighten up these tentacles, or tendrils. Starting to look like something, huh? Now, we can see where those teeth are pretty easily with that light brushing I did there. So now, let's get a smaller brush and a little more paint now that we can see what we're working with. This is ivory. It's like a yellowish off-white. And just, there you go, you get your teeth there. Now we have to worry about green. So, cleaning my brush out. This is called English Ivy Green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of these high spots here where these beads are. I'm going to do some green dots on those. I would like everybody to congratulate Mrs. Doom. She started her job and she had a nice day and she actually ran into people she knew and it was very pleasant. She was working at an elementary school in our county and I'm very happy for her. I'm very proud of her. It's hard being a mother that hasn't worked and going back. So I'm very, very proud of her. We often forget how hard things are, especially if we never stop doing them. They just become like ingrained in what we do and we don't stop and think about, what it might be like for other people. So I always try to make sure that I take the time to appreciate when other people step out of their comfort zones or do things that they haven't been doing. Even though, like the generic thing might be, well, that's just what adults do. Well, yeah, true, but once you break the mold and stop doing stuff, it becomes more and more difficult to reintegrate. So even though she didn't necessarily say it, I'm sure there was a certain amount of stress and anxiety that came with that. And anxiety, unfortunately, has become a very negative blanket term. Anxiety is not a bad thing, okay? Anxiety is your body's physical reaction of which hormones and chemicals you release to deal with certain stressors. So if you were in war, for example, and you were about to drive out the gate into the hot zone, it would be beneficial for you to suffer some anxiety, because what would happen is your body would start producing what you need to be ready. Just doing a smaller green dot on those larger dots because they weren't as pronounced as I liked, but I didn't want to make them bigger. So, adrenaline, which is like, you all know what adrenaline is. You've all felt the rush of adrenaline. Anxiety, part of anxiety is your body will produce more adrenaline. And anxiety also helps you advance your fight, flight, and flee, or fight, flight, and freeze instincts. So when you're doing something and you go, oh, I'm anxious, and it makes your stomach squirm and it gives you bad feelings, don't always have a negative connotation to that. That's something that society has taught you. This is a natural instinct you possess so that you can be prepared, so you can make good decisions. It's a warning. Hey, I'm going to be doing something different, or maybe even something dangerous, or maybe something that I'm not used to, and I need to be prepared for this. And your body's going to give you that that natural position to be able to adapt to your situation and get it where you want it. So don't always think of anxiety as a bad thing. Mental health is like a crazy thing. I think everyone has dealt with some mental health issues at some point. I see it a lot in veteran groups that I work with. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't ever have some problems. I mean, you don't go fighting wars and come back and, suffer no consequences for that. The decisions you make and the things you encounter and the thought processes that you change, the morality you bend because you're in a situation that's not sitting at home with your, kids and wife playing games and drinking brews. It's different. I don't want to. I'm not an expert to be talking about this stuff, but it's important that we recognize that we are all on different parts of our journeys, and that mental health should not be a stigma in our society. That it's common, and that everyone, if you get the right doctor, would diagnose you with something. Because the medical professions are their business. They'd have to diagnose you with shit so they can sell you medicine and get kickbacks and stuff. So any one of us could be diagnosed if you sat in front of the right doctor, no matter how sane or normal or incomplex you seem to be. I shouldn't say incomplex, simple you seem to be. Someone out there thinks that you're not right and that you need help. And that's the stigma our society says, like, oh, you're not normal. Well, who the hell knows what normal really is? I don't. I'm not a professional normalcy guy. I'm a guy who freaking makes monsters in my basement out of garbage. So my super brush just came apart while I was drying it off. And I'm just going to super glue that back on. I'm going to turn that till it locks. Wipe off the excess glue. There you go. Can't even get it off there now. Perfect. Twisting that friction makes that glue dry really hard and solid. So yeah, we all have problems. And I don't even know if problem is the right word. We all have issues. And don't worry if you think you have issues. Just remember, you don't need other people to tell you all the time what's right and wrong. You can assess your own moral standings. Don't be a sheep. If you feel like you can't do it on your own, well, human beings are uniquely designed, smarter than every other creature for a reason. If you think you can't do it on your own, it's likely because your body's telling you, your heart, your mind, your soul, everything's telling you can't. That means you might need to go seek help if you feel like you can't do it on your own. Oh my gosh, my page is wrinkled. Oh my gosh, what do we do there? It's not like I can go out and buy a new one of these. This is an ancient book. They're very expensive now. So there's the Phantom Fungus from the book. And there's our Phantom Fungus. I'm pretty pleased. I think that it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. And remember, no one sees this thing till a minute after it's dead. Basically, in combat, it uses its greater invisibility and its low light vision. It has all the plant traits, too, so it's immune to, it takes half damage from certain things. But, yeah, this is not a particularly big stab block. You assume that with these tendrils, it would have some kind of grapple bonus, but I'm not seeing anything spectacular. Yeah, its base grapple is +3. So anyways, there's the Phantom Fungus. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with me today. I really do appreciate it. We're over 430 subscribers, guys. To me, I honestly thought I'd never hit 50. It's a big deal. And I'm not Mr. Beast or Dan Does or anybody fancy like that, but I really appreciate you guys watching. It's so cool that people are actually watching this stuff and commenting on it, and people are trying to make their own versions of it, which to me is phenomenal. I am going to probably disable the Sloppy Hollow Discord and combine everybody to the Dungeon Swag Discord. And speaking of Dungeon Swag, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave me a comment. Go to the website, www.dungeonswag.com. Check out our minis there. Not these minis, real minis. come to our Discord and hang out. Show us what you're crafting and painting and making. We got people on there carving stuff. We got a guy making a sword. We got a lady, I think it's a lady, I'm not sure. Someone making phenomenal crochet goods, and this like thing they do with wool and a needle, and they made like a Yoshi head. I mean, it's just cool. Crafts you wouldn't even believe. People painting minis, obviously, terrain and stuff. So come check it out. Join the Discord. Become part of that community. It's a pretty nice place. The people are decent. Everyone's respectful. The memes are funny. Hey, thanks for watching.